Hello everyone, how's it going? So today we are going to start a new series on NLP, which is natural language processing. So it's basically understanding textual content, especially in a human source language, which we can tokenize with machine learning and develop applications like chatbot, sentiment analysis, spam filter detection. So different types of text-based applications which an AI can be trained on. That's all under the banner of NLP. And we'll see how we can develop those advanced applications on some later videos. But in this way, in this particular video, we're going to look into the basics of NLP and understand how we can implement in the initializations. So we are looking into this library called NLTK. This is a natural languaging toolbox which is part of Python, and it is an extensive toolbox. It has a lot of information, a lot of data which we can use, which we, as for our testing and experimental purpose, we can always download and use them. So I've made a lot of information free and available to all of us. So with that, we will start the video. So this is, if this is something that is helping you, go ahead and do subscribe to the channel. And if you do like the video, leave a like. And if you have any comments, if you have any issues, feel free to comment and I'll be happy to help you. So the first thing is to install NLTK. Now NLTK already is installed Google Colab, so you don't need to install. But if you do want to install, you can do by pip install NLTK if you're doing it on your computer. And then you're downloading these libraries. So for now, you don't need to go into what these are. These are just dependencies that are going to be used in the future codes that we are going to be using today. So for that purpose, we are doing this. And for that, let's run this. So it will quickly download and import NLTK for us and all these packages that we need for this today's experimentation. So for now, don't go into details of all of this. Each of these are part of one of these next codes that we're going to be using into. For now, let's not worry about it. As long as we understand the basic concepts, that's good enough for us for now. The next step is we are defining this sentence, and we are using this sentence to do our experimentation, and this is what the base sentence that we will use to understand our next steps. So let's play that so that way the text gets saved into this word called text. And now we come down. So now the most important step in NLP is the tokenization step. And what is tokenization? Tokenization is an English term, and it means to break any linguistic component, break the sentences, words, or characters into linguistic components. That is called as a token or tokenization. So in case of this sentence or this text over right here, you can tokenize this into sentences. You can tokenize them into words. So what does that mean? So if you see, hey YouTube, have you subscribed to this channel? This is one sentence. No? Why not? What are you doing? So these are all sentences which are part of that whole text. So it can understand that text and then break it down into sentences. And that is what we would be needing. Say if we were to train a machine learning model, we would need to tell the machine learning model what we are dealing with, what kind of sentences we are dealing with. So the machine learning model should understand, and it cannot process the data without understanding what the text is. So that is where we need all these steps about tokenization. So we'll see how we can do sentence tokenization, and this is done by using NLTK tokenize sent tokenize. So there's this function called sent tokenize, and it tokenizes the text into sentences. So if you use that function, it gives out these sentences, and all of these sentences are then, I'm just printing them using this print sentence. So for sentence in sentences, so I'm just printing it out so that we can see how the output is. So let's go ahead and play this. And you can see using the sent tokenize, it is able to detect 4 sentences in that whole line of text for us. So you can see all of these 4 sentences are exactly detected. It is understanding where the sentence is ending, whether it could be a full stop or it could be a question mark. And coincidentally, in our sentence, we had a couple of question marks. But if you were to put down, say, a full stop, so have you subscribed to the channel? Instead of a question mark, if I choose to put a full stop, let's see how that affects. So I'll play this so it replaces the text, and then we will put down here. So you can see, even though it was a full stop, it's still detecting it as one text, one sentence. Now, going to the next step, we're doing word tokenization. So this is, as the word says, as the sentence says, it's breaking down the text into individual words. So you're using word tokenize, and you're importing it from NLTK tokenize, word tokenize, and you're tokenizing all the text into different types of words and just printing them. So that's all we're doing here. So you can see all the individual words are exactly detected. It's understanding where these where these words are, where the words are ending, how are they spaced, and the commas and question marks. It is detecting them exactly. It's understanding what is a word, what is a comma, what is a space. Everything is being detected. It's a very powerful system, and it's giving out this output. So now we can control our sentence. We have individual components of our sentence in our hand, and we can use it and we can play with it as and when we need it for our machine learning projects. So the next step is the part of speech. So part of speech is, if you, I forgot about it until I looked into, while I was studying for this video. So part of speech is the noun, the verb, the pronouns, the adverbs, the different types of components of the speech. And this function, the POS, is going to help us identify all the words in our sentence and describe what kind of a part of speech it is, whether it's a noun, whether it's a pronoun, a verb, adverb, and it can detect what that word is. So that was amazing for me. But how you do it is just by this simple code where you're importing post tag. And if you do post tag on words, the words is what we detected over here using the words here, the words that we defined here using the tokenize. We're just passing that word tokenize into the post tag, and we're just running that function post tag for us. So you can see that it's defining what hey is. Hey is NNP, YouTube is NNP, half is VBE. So if you look into it, if you just Google it, you'll understand what these post tags are. These are nothing but for short forms of noun, verb, proper noun. So these are just that. Don't worry about the acronyms or the short forms of these. You don't need to worry about them at this stage. But to understand, these are nothing but the short forms of noun. So NN means noun. So these are all what defining what the part of speech of each text is. So that's good. Now next to the next step, we are understanding the entities. Now let me open this, and it'll give you a better understanding of what it is. So you can see that hey is referring to a person. YouTube is referring to a GPE, and GPE stands for global, something with regards to global education, and it's defining what that word is. So it's able to detect a person, it's able to detect an entity, and it's able to describe what that entity is. So it's an amazing tool, and it gives out information. It's very helpful, especially when we are using chatbots like Alexa, and where it's able to understand what that text is and also give representation of what that text means. So that is very important, and this is where we use the entities. And entities is using the NE chunk, and you run NE chunk on a post tag. So what you're doing is first you're using post tag that we used in the previous step, defining it into a POS, and then doing any chunk on that POS. So you're first defining the post tag, and on that post tag you're running the any chunk. That is because you need to know what that part of speech is, so that the any chunk can then further analyze what that part of speech is, whether it's a person, what kind of an entity it is, whether it's a group, whether it's an organization. I have seen some tutorials where it was even able to detect the organization. I saw one YouTube video where there was a gentleman who tried using it, and he was able to describe the BBC as an organization, the word BBC, the British Broadcasting Studio, as an organization, and it was from UK. So it was even able to go into that detail. I'll leave a link to the video so that you have a better understanding of what that is. And that's where how deep it's going into. And it was very helpful. The next stage is the stemming and the lemmatizing. The stemming is understanding where the word is stem, so the root word of whatever word we are looking into. Say for example, if there was a word increases, so increases stems from increase. Generosity stems from being generous. So generous is that stem, and generosity is the word that you're using. So that's what word stemming means, and we want to understand the stem of the word. And the most important use, the most widely used of this functionality is under the search engines. So when you go onto Google and you try to search, say, generosity and being generous, if you have different types of people, one person can look into generosity, one people can search into being generous, some person can look into being generously wide. So they have different attributes or different types the word can be used, but for a search engine they break down that word to the root word, and they understand what that root word is being used, and they then give out the search results. So no matter what kind of a sentence or what kind of a text you put down in the search result, it will go back to the stem of the word and only use that. That way it can serve multiple people with the similar results. So coming down here, if we run this, we are just going to be running it on the same word corpus that we have up there. So you're using Porter stemmer, and there are different types of stemmer. There was a snowball stemmer as well, but we are looking at a Porter stemmer, which is one of the most widely used stemmer applications, and we are just defining Porter stemmer as a stemmer here, and then using the word in words that we have that we defined up there in the previous steps, and just printing the stem of that word, the stemmer dot stem word. So this is going to just give us the stem of the word, and it is going to define. So you can see that it's giving out, hey, YouTube is YouTube, have you subscribe, and you can see there's a lot of gibberish involved here, but in this particular example, this particular text that we use, it was giving this type of an example. But you can see doing is do. So that's how it's going into, it's understanding the stem of the word. But there is also some errors here, so like the subscribe, it lost the E, it lost the E over here, it lost the this has become high, and Y has become WHI for some reason. So there is some issues already that we can see clearly, but it's not as bad as you see if you're using a more complicated sentence. This was a simple sentence, but if you use a more complicated sentence, then it can get a better result. But in order to improve that, you can use lemmatizing, and lemmatizing is a more generic use, where you can it not only converts that into the stem, but it also converts that into a real word. So it understands, it describes the stem, but and detects whether that stem word is a real word or not. So that's where it's going to give us a similar output, but it will give you a real word. So you can see YouTube is YouTube, subscribed is subscribed, that this is a this. So it's not breaking down or it's not destroying the words, and for some reason it's giving out doing as doing itself, but we can survive with this. It is giving us the right result, it's giving us the right stem. In this case, if we want to use a better example, we can use, say for example, let's copy this and let's try to run it on a different function. So we can use this word, and let's run another code snippet here, and we can use the word. I don't think I copied it properly. Okay, so if I use the word, say for example, increases, instead of just using the word we'll use the word increases, and let's see what kind of an output we get for increases. So you can see increases is given as increase. So that's where the lematize is used, and this is how we understand the basics. So this was just a basic introduction of NLTK and how we can use it for our NLP applications in the future. So I'll be using this video to refer to our future videos. So with that, I come to the conclusion. If this is something that is helping you, go ahead and subscribe and join the community. That way we can work, learn, and grow together. And with that, I come to the conclusion. Take care, stay safe, bye-bye.